Day 319. Ezekiel 1-2. In the 30th year, on the 5th day of the 4th month, while I was among the exiles by the river Kebar, the heavens opened and I saw visions of God. On the 5th day of the month, it was the 5th year of the exile of King Jehoiachin, the word of the Lord came directly to Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Kebar. And there the Lord's hand was upon him. I looked and saw a whirlwind coming from the north, a great cloud with fire flashing back and forth and brilliant light all around it. In the center of the fire was a gleam like amber, and within it was the form of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance, they had a human form, but each had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight, and the soles of their feet were like the hooves of a calf, gleaming like polished bronze. Under their wings on their 4 sides they had human hands. All 4 living creatures had faces and wings, and their wings were touching one another. They did not turn as they moved, each one went straight ahead. The form of their faces was that of a man, and each of the 4 had the face of a lion on the right side, the face of an ox on the left side, and also the face of an eagle. Such were their faces. Their wings were spread upward, each had 2 wings touching the wings of the creature on either side, and 2 wings covering its body. Each creature went straight ahead. Wherever the spirit would go, they would go, without turning as they moved. In the midst of the living creatures was the appearance of glowing coals of fire, or of torches. Fire moved back and forth between the living creatures, it was bright, and lightning flashed out of it. The creatures were darting back and forth as quickly as flashes of lightning. When I looked at the living creatures, I saw a wheel on the ground beside each creature with its 4 faces. The workmanship of the wheels looked like the gleam of beryl, and all 4 had the same likeness. Their workmanship looked like a wheel within a wheel. As they moved, they went in any of the 4 directions, without pivoting as they moved. Their rims were high and awesome, and all 4 rims were full of eyes all around. So as the living creatures moved, the wheels moved beside them, and when the creatures rose from the ground, the wheels also rose. Wherever the spirit would go, they would go, and the wheels would rise alongside them, because the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. When the creatures moved, the wheels moved, when the creatures stood still, the wheels stood still, and when the creatures rose from the ground, the wheels rose alongside them, because the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. Spread out above the heads of the living creatures was the likeness of an awesome expanse, gleaming like crystal. And under the expanse, their wings stretched out toward one another. Each one also had 2 wings covering its body. When the creatures moved, I heard the sound of their wings like the roar of many waters, like the voice of the Almighty, like the tumult of an army. When they stood still, they lowered their wings. And there came a voice from above the expanse over their heads as they stood still with their wings lowered. Above the expanse over their heads was the likeness of a throne with the appearance of sapphire, and on the throne high above was a figure like that of a man. From what seemed to be his waist up, I saw a gleam like amber, with what looked like fire within it all around. And from what seemed to be his waist down, I saw what looked like fire, and brilliant light surrounded him. The appearance of the brilliant light all around him was like that of a rainbow in a cloud on a rainy day. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell face down and heard a voice speaking. Son of man, he said to me, stand up on your feet and I will speak to you. And as he spoke to me, the Spirit entered me and set me on my feet, and I heard him speaking to me. Son of man, he said to me, I am sending you to the Israelites, to a rebellious nation that has rebelled against me. To this very day they and their fathers have rebelled against me. They are obstinate and stubborn children. I am sending you to them, and you are to say to them, this is what the Lord God says. And whether they listen or refuse to listen, for they are a rebellious house, they will know that a prophet has been among them. But you, son of man, do not be afraid of them or their words. Do not be afraid, though briers and thorns surround you, and you dwell among scorpions. Do not be afraid of their words or dismayed by their presence, though they are a rebellious house. But speak my words to them, whether they listen or refuse to listen, for they are rebellious. And you, son of man, listen to what I tell you. Do not be rebellious like that rebellious house. Open your mouth and eat what I give you. Then I looked and saw a hand reaching out to me, and in it was a scroll, which he unrolled before me. And written on the front and back of it were words of lamentation, mourning, and woe. Hebrews 11 verses 1-19. Now faith is the assurance of what we hope for and the certainty of what we do not see. This is why the ancients were commended. By faith we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible. By faith Abel offered God a better sacrifice than Cain did. By faith he was commended as righteous when God gave approval to his gifts. And by faith he still speaks, even though he is dead. By faith Enoch was taken up so that he did not see death, he could not be found, because God had taken him away. For before he was taken, he was commended as one who pleased God. And without faith it is impossible to please God, because anyone who approaches him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. By faith Noah, when warned about things not yet seen, in godly fear built an ark to save his family. By faith he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness that comes by faith. By faith Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went, without knowing where he was going. By faith he dwelt in the promised land as a stranger in a foreign country. He lived in tents, as did Isaac and Jacob, who were heirs with him of the same promise. For he was looking forward to the city with foundations, whose architect and builder is God. By faith Sarah, even though she was barren and beyond the proper age, was enabled to conceive a child, because she considered him faithful who had promised. And so from one man, and he as good as dead, came descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as countless as the sand on the seashore. All these people died in faith, without having received the things they were promised. However, they saw them and welcomed them from afar. And they acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. Now those who say such things show that they are seeking a country of their own. If they had been thinking of the country they had left, they would have had opportunity to return. Instead, they were longing for a better country, a heavenly one. Therefore God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared a city for them. By faith Abraham, when he was tested, offered up Isaac on the altar. He who had received the promises was ready to offer his one and only son, even though God had said to him, "Through Isaac your offspring will be reckoned." Abraham reasoned that God could raise the dead, and in a sense, he did receive Isaac back from death.